Everybody, welcome. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm Jeff Montgomery, founder of Overland South. Thank you. That's nice. Thank you. Wasn't fishing for applause, but it's been a long day, so I appreciate it. Sean came down to talk to us about his journey with Venture Unknown and the Venture Unknown Foundation, about what they do. They were the beneficiaries of our raffle last year. They were doing Hurricane Helene disaster disaster relief, thank you. Blanked on the word there. Yeah, he worked his butt off. I did a video call with him afterwards, and he was ragged. They did a lot. I'm sure he's going to talk about that. The raffle this year, this event is also going to the Venture Unknown Foundation. We've got a lot of cool stuff. It's up here. We've even got some more stuff that's not here. And you still have a chance to buy tickets until 6:30 today, so that's about an hour. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sean. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm looking forward to hearing this myself.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you. Thank you for the invite, my fellow neighbor. I appreciate y'all showing up for this. I always had the biggest fear no one's going to show up to hear me ramble on. So thank y'all for showing up. As he mentioned, my name is Sean Clark. I'm a man of many hats, although you'll usually find me just in this one, but I run Venture Unknown, the Facebook group, and that later became Venture Unknown Foundation, the 501c3, which its focus is on stewardship and picking up trash out of our public lands. That kind of turned into a little bit of disaster relief during Helene. And now I'm another chairman of a board of what's now called Last Mile Relief, which is focused on disaster relief. So I'm a busy man. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm having the time of my life and living the dream. So everybody makes jokes about me talking. I'm sometimes long-winded. Jeff said I had 30 minutes, and I was like, oh, okay, I hope I can hit that. And all my friends here said, Sean, I'll cut you off at 45. So I'm not going to keep y'all here that long, I promise you. Thank you to Jeff and having us and to talk about Helene and talk about who VUF and VU are. I really, really appreciate it. This is a wonderful, wonderful event. This is my first time being down here, and so I would like to give a round of applause to Jeffrey and Overland South. What a beautiful place. What a beautiful place, really. And a special thanks from last year. They donated the raffles to VUF. It went straight to the folks in the Western North Carolina from Helene. My favorite story of that is they said that they got the raffle to a certain amount, and somebody, and I wish I knew who this person was. If you're here, please let me know, said that if the raffle reached a certain number, that he would match it. And so Jeff contacted me while I'm dead in the middle of Helene efforts and told me, Sean, we've got, I think it was a $3,200 check coming to y'all. And I tell y'all that money it saved lives. Ultimately, it kept somebody warm during the winter this year while they may not have a home. So thank you for that. Thank you for that donation. Yeah.
Okay, I'm cutting you off. That was just kidding. So that was Chad Matthews, and I was going to bring it up at some point. Local guy owns Total Mini and BMW in town, and a lot of people were torn about coming to Overland versus doing something to help at Helene. And they knew there were people running supplies, and should I go? And he was one of those people who's really torn about it. And when he heard the opportunity to help out, so Chad Matthews in Charleston, Total Mini and BMW is the nicest guy. He's fantastic. Unfortunately, he's not feeling well, so he couldn't make it here today. I wanted to recognize him, but he did a great challenge, Grant, and we're so grateful for him. So sorry, I won't interrupt again.
Thank you, Chad. Being able to match a raffle prize like that of a cost and double it is, my hat's off to him. So thank you, Chad. I'll tell you, it's hard for me to tell the story about Helene and VUF without just starting at the beginning. So get comfortable. So it started with my wife, Michelle, and I. We love the outdoors. We've been camping all our lives. And we have a 96 Land Cruiser, 80 series. And I really was we didn't care to really have friends, or we didn't have a group or anything, but I yearned to share what her and I were experiencing in the outdoors, the beautiful waterfalls, the campsites, events like this. I wanted to share it. So I made a flyer that you could put on people's windshield that said, hey, I like your truck. I got one too. You want to come out and play? I never gave out any one of those flyers. It was dumb. But what I did do was create a Facebook page. And that page was called Venture Unknown. Venture Unknown started without an intention in the world. I had no idea that there would be 7,000 members in that group right now. I had no idea that we would accomplish what we've accomplished, but it just goes to show you the power in numbers. This community is really something special. So every one of you guys are, when y'all break through that wall of nervousness and anxiety to join a group and get outdoors with other people, good for y'all, because we can do some great things, honest to God. So, and that was in May 4th, 2020. I started Venture Unknown. It's a nonsense name. It doesn't really mean anything. It's not Toyota Overlanding Off-Road. It's not Jeep this. It's not anything. It's Venture Unknown. Venture, and I'll just read the definition: a risky or daring journey or undertaking. And I think off-roading and overlanding describes that. I think what some of us do in this hobby or this sport, I think it wraps that up really good. And then the unknown part, anybody that's ever been out in the woods with me knows that we like to get lost on purpose. There are no such thing as wrong turns. There's no such thing as wrong turns out on the trail. There's no such thing as wrong turns in life. You just be present, be in the moment, and enjoy the ride. We've grown pretty organically. It's been fairly rapid, being 7,000 members in just right over 4 years. It was really kind of shocking to see it. I can remember telling my wife, do you think anybody will ever really show up and start coming out and enjoy this thing with us? And we average probably 100 new members a week, sometimes more than that. The two things that really, really ring throughout the group is kindness and compassion. Those two things mean the world to me. It should mean the world to all of us. Treating people with kindness, even it may be your foe. Maybe it's your rival. Maybe they drive a Jeep. Just treat them with kindness, always. And compassion is just simply treating people the way you want to be treated. And we do that in everything we do. We just treat people the way we want to be treated, and I can tell you that will take you a long way in life when you treat people that way. We're also a group that has no drama. I usually say about 98% drama free. There's always something. But if any of you guys that are not part of Venture Unknown, I encourage you to join it, and you too will see that we care about one another. We call it a family. Even the strangers, we call them a family, and we treat people very nice. We don't belittle. It doesn't matter if you drive a Subaru. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out. We just care about you and want everyone to do better and encourage people to learn through our mistakes. And so it's really, really, really a great group. I can't stress enough how proud I am of it. As we grew, we discovered 3 principles. Those 3 principles are explore, educate, and encourage. The explore, you'll hear through my speech here, you'll kind of hear me talk about those things a little bit, and it'll ring throughout what we do is always such a wonderful thing. Explore is just simply wanting to see what's over the mountain, what's down that trail, what's across the creek. It's that yearning of really truly wanting to see what you haven't seen before. And us here at Venture Unknown, it's about sharing that. It's about bringing people along and say, hey, let me show you what's around the mountain, across the creek, and around the bend. So explore is, that's the hook. That's the thing that really is the fun part of it. Because a lot of times the educate part isn't always fun, Nobody likes education. But when you blend it in with some explorations, you really have a great thing. Venture Unknown, we host rides and events. At our core what we do. We encourage other people to go out and explore on their own, or they can join us. We've been doing rides for the last 4 or 5 years. Usually there's a good bit of people with us. Nowadays we do around about 7 or 10 trucks will follow us, but we get out. We've been to Moab, we've been to Colorado, we've been to Kentucky. Kentucky's great. Anybody been to the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway? Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, if you haven't been there, is one of the most amazing places. I highly recommend it. This year we're going to Idaho and doing the Idaho BDR. Also highly recommend it. Super excited. We also host a yearly event called Winter Wonderland at Windrock. You see how beautiful and the weather's nice here? Winter Wonderland is not that. It's miserable. It's muddy. It's cold. But yet 300 people still show up somehow, some way, and it's a wonderful time as well. So Venture Unknown we're definitely about having a good time and exploring. The encouragement part is the part that really I hold true to my heart. And what I mean by that is that our group is not a good old boy club. We want to meet strangers. We want to welcome people to the fire. And sometimes that's a very difficult thing to do for us. Anybody that has anxiety like myself, you pull up, you don't know anybody, you really don't know if you're going to fit in. And I can tell you that when you are around good people, that they're genuinely good people, they'll always welcome you to the fire. And we do that. We don't make people feel intimidated. We fight through that anxiety, and always the willingness to help others, to share that education, and most of all, to always remain humble. Remember where we came from. I too made lots of mistakes. I too used to not know how to put my truck in 4-wheel drive, so we're not judging people just because they're trying to learn and grow into this hobby. That way you get to build a really nice group of people when you're like that. As we were going along, we started to notice campsites trashed, Bud Light cans, tires, poop buckets, and mattresses in some of our campsites. And I remember when I saw one of our camps that we wanted to camp at, I saw it just nasty with debris, and we weren't able to pick that stuff up then. But what we did do is we scheduled a cleanup ride. 10 people showed up, and we cleaned up the War Woman WMA, which is in North Georgia. It was an unofficial thing. We didn't weigh it. We barely planned anything. We just went out there and picked up beer cans. And that was the beginning of our cleanup rides. We had done a couple more. We did Hurricane Creek, if you're familiar with that. Cleaned up a bunch of trash out of it. But then we started to feel that our heart was in the nonprofit side of things. We wanted to do more. And that is when we started Venture Unknown Foundation. Venture Unknown Foundation started in 2023, and it hovers around that education principle. To educate someone, come from a place, if someone is not treading lightly, someone is throwing a beer can out the window, rather instead of, giving them one of those, you try to come from a place of education. Since Venture Unknown Foundation has been founded, we have hosted a few cleanup rides. We did Clean Up the Hooch on Chattahoochee River Road up in Helen, Georgia. We picked up 3,000 pounds off Chattahoochee River Road. We did Spring Clean. Last year was the inaugural Spring Clean. We picked up 14,000 pounds from 2 different locations in our national forest. And that is coming back, by the way, in 2 weekends. We're doing Spring Clean 25. Then we started Sweep Up the Southeast. Sweep Up the Southeast was a vision from one of our members that said, Sean, you've got 7,000 members all over the Southeast. Why do just one cleanup that somebody has to drive 6 hours to? Why don't we divide and conquer? So in 2022, we started Sweep Up the Southeast. We had 7 teams spread out on several national forests across the Southeast. We picked up 12,000 pounds. in 2022. 2023, that number grew not only in teams, but national forest and states, and we picked up 57,000 pounds of trash. This past year, Sweep Up the Southeast 2024 was 13 states. We had volunteer agreements with the Forest Service and every team, which was an accomplishment. We picked up 101,500 pounds in one day. One day. And if that doesn't speak something to teamwork and what this community is capable of, I don't know what does. So altogether, Venture Unknown Foundation, from just those cleanups I just named, has cleaned up 525 miles. We've picked up 350 tires, 3,727 volunteer hours, and $137,000 has been put back to the United States Forest Service through our volunteer agreements, for a total of 178,500 pounds since 2023. Very, very proud. There's many of the folks I've seen out here trucking tires up the hill, picking up those cans, or dishwashers, winching dishwashers up off the mountains. Thank y'all. For everybody that shows up at any cleanup ride with any group, thank you. We've got to try to keep our trails open. The younger generation, we're losing them all the time. And so, I don't know about y'all, but when one of those gates goes up on a Forest Service road, I see a tradition being cut off. I see that grandfather that's not going to be able to go back and show his grandson or granddaughter that campsite that used to be down there where he used to fish. And so that's what drives me personally every day, is to try to keep that from happening. This momentum of community, heart, compassion kind of came together on September 26th when Hurricane Helene hit the Southeast. I can tell you that when it made landfall, we were in the Ozarks doing the Ozark Overland Adventure Trail. And I can remember us being a little bit worried about it, but we live so far inland up in Greenville, South Carolina, I didn't think too much of it. I was like, it's not too often a hurricane's going to do anything up that way. And so as I made my way back across the country and got home, I was ate up with poison ivy from head to toe. I was soaking in the bathtub in my salt bath when I started to see the Facebook post of people trapped, houses being washed down the rivers, Lake Lure being wiped off the map. And it touched me in a way in my heart that I had two choices: to stay soaking in my bathtub or get up and do something. And I got up and did something. And that night, my wife and I, we created a volunteer form, a wellness check form. We found distribution centers, satellite distribution centers all over the Southeast that people could donate or drop stuff off without having to come into the disaster zone. And then I couldn't find any fuel can. I didn't want to go to the area, but one of the things that everybody would say is, Sean, you go in that area, you're going to be pulling those resources from those people. If you go there, you're going to be the problem. So I made sure when I went, I drove 2 hours into Atlanta to pick up 10 5-gallon fuel cans or fuel jugs, 6 cases of water, and 3 chainsaws. And my intention was to go cut this young man here, Mr. Ray Wilson, out of his neighborhood, because I had heard that he was trapped in his community, had trees down, and I was on my way. I had no idea where I was going to camp. I had no idea exactly what I was going to do. I just knew that I was going to do something. When I was on my way there, Ray had gotten out of his neighborhood. He called me and he said, Sean, I'm out. That was a relief, but everything was already in motion. I said, well, Ray, do you know a place I could camp? He says, well, let me check out Swannanoa KOA. Swannanoa KOA was wiped out, very tragically. He says, well, Sean, I got a friend at Pisgah Brewery in Black Mountain. Maybe he'll let you camp there. I pull up at this gate. It's just me and David, the owner of the Episcopal. He comes up and shakes my hand. I kind of gave him a idea of what was about to happen, because while this was going on, our volunteer forum was filling up. That wellness check forum of people worried about their loved ones was filling up. I told him, he says, can we camp here? He says, there's 9 acres, 3 warehouses. I said, okay. In 3 days, hundreds of people were coming. Hundreds of volunteers from Venture Unknown and beyond were coming to this base camp. On day 3, I can remember 53-foot semi-trucks backing up to these warehouses. All 4 of his warehouses filled to the roof with donations from fine folks like yourselves that made it to that area. By day 3, I had lost my voice. I couldn't spell. I didn't even know how to use my phone. I was exhausted. It was me and one other guy had a single yellow pad of paper trying to understand the missions and how to check on these people and how to clear some of the streets and get these donations out to people. It was hard. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. By day 4, some people way smarter than I started to put together an operation, a mission control, so to speak. We started to organize our efforts. And next thing I know, we got helicopters coming in, oxygen coming in, insulin coming in. I could not tell you the amount of energy and effort that came into this camp. Hundreds of volunteers coming and camping. That it was overwhelming, but we did very well with it. And what was so beautiful about it is you had people dropping keys off to me. Sean, here's an excavator. Do what you wish with it. Here's a truck. Do what you wish with it. Here's 500 gallons of fuel. Keep doing what you're doing. And so my favorite story of being there, I'll never forget, was an officer that came up to me. You could tell he was distressed, in distress. He said something about one of his partners or his patrol had the kids needed special formula. They had some allergies. He asked me if I had soy formula and oxygen. And I said, well, let me see what I can do. And God knows I don't know how this happened, but it was maybe 2 hours later and a helicopter comes in, lands in the field, and there's that formula and there was that oxygen. And I was able to hand that stuff to that officer, and to see his face light up was the most rewarding thing that I've ever been able to do, is to make those things happen, to make those connections was really, really great. Lots and lots of grown, burly mountain men that I hugged, and we shared a cry during our time up there at Episcopal Brewery. And so I'll tell you this, that we sometimes felt like Amazon drivers delivering all this stuff, but because of all of us in these vehicles, because of our attitude of being self-reliant, we were able to not be a burden on the area. We were able to get these supplies to the very last mile. We were running missions into Bat Cave, Lake Lure, the Cane River, the Toad River. We were able to get very far into these places and help these people. And it was all because of people like yourselves that just give selflessly. I truly believe that when we all work together, and we are not doing it for our ego, we're not doing it for profit, we're doing it because we love one another, regardless of what side of the fence someone may be on, what color they may be, none of that matters. When it is genuinely from the heart, anything is possible. Because I know that if my little 5'7" butt can go up there not knowing what in the world I was doing and just move as many supplies as we did, we all can do it. So I will leave you with this. You're more powerful than you give yourself credit for, and you're more powerful together than we are apart. So always remember that. Come together, help one another, and with all that, we can move mountains. And I'll leave you with that. That's me. That's Sean. Thank y'all. Thank you for letting me tell the story. And thank you, Jeff.
All right. Thanks, Sean, and for making the trip. How many people are here in VU? All right, cool. You guys got a great camp back there. What a great ad. I hope you will come back and see us next time. If I just have to invite Sean each time, if that's what it takes, we'll do it.